Has Congress been given details on what the goal is and what the plan is?
Well, I mean, the goal is simply stated that we do not have a nuclear Iran. And certainly the president is leaning strongly in that. From his first term, with the maximum pressure campaign, the president was clear that, both in non-nuclear Iran and also making certain that we have that the nefarious activities of Iran working through their proxies, the terrorist groups and organizations, that be stopped. So the president is very strong on an anti-Iran policy, including ensuring that there not be a nuclear Iran.
But the things that his envoy have described sound a lot like that 2015 nuclear deal negotiated under President Obama, with limits on enrichment, for example, and things like that. I know in the past you voted for legislation that would give Congress more oversight over a deal with Iran. Do you expect President Trump to bring any kind of deal he brokers to Congress for approval?
Well, I think we have to see what the deal is. I mean, currently there's just ongoing negotiations. We'll have to see how that evolves. We'll have to see what those terms are.
You don't want any kind of review regardless?
I mean, as it evolves, we'll have to see what those terms are and what and really what is achieved. And certainly there's a role for Congress to play as that goes forward. But I think we need to give them the opportunity for success.
Well, the Israeli Prime Minister issued a statement yesterday denying that he personally was talking to Mike Waltz about bombing Iran, or military action against Iran. Of course, we know his aides could have those conversations. Is it appropriate work for the National Security Advisor to the President to be coordinating with Israel about military action against Iran, or was Mike Waltz possibly in the wrong here?
Well, first off, we don't know specifically that was occurring, but at the same time, the National Security Council, the function of the National Security Council is to ensure that the President of the United States has the greatest information possible. And Mike Waltz has an incredible background and experience. He worked diligently to make certain he had a strong role in the national security team of the President. And I'm certainly glad that he's going to be retained and staying in a strong role in this administration. Working directly with world leaders and heads of state is certainly an important role as the National Security Advisor to the President. And certainly, I think even as UN Ambassador, he'll continue to do that type of function.
Is it in the national security interest, though, to have the Secretary of State, who also has, at least on paper, 3 other jobs now, in this role, and for how long?
Well, I mean, certainly we know Henry Kissinger has been in that position before.
And even he said it was untenable.
Right.
But he was in lockstep with his president.
I think what's also very important here is that Marco Rubio, from a policy perspective, is very strong in this administration. His signal of it being in this position sends a signal of continuing the same policies in the administration. From a Trump team policy perspective, him taking over this sends a signal of continuation and strength. That's excellent.
But the policy
now we've got to give him the opportunity of, is he going to be able to build out the team in the National Security Council? And that's certainly hopefully that he'll be able to do so and build out a strong team there that represents really the opportunity to support President Trump and giving him the information and knowledge and the access to information and knowledge that he needs.
That's a diplomatic way of saying there shouldn't be loyalty tests to the president. You want actual experts staffing the National Security Council. You don't want Laura Loomer, a far-right activist, making decisions on personnel.
Well, at the same time, there does have to be loyalty to the president. I mean, we saw in the president's first term that the president was betrayed during the first Trump impeachment by individuals who were at the National Security Council. So Trump personally has an understanding that you have to have people at the National Security Council that are on Trump's team, and the National Security Council being directly working with him and being in the White House. It's very, very important that they be personnel that work for and on behalf of the president.
You were talking about National Security Council members who testified under oath that the president was withholding aid to Ukraine during the first administrations for a political
and was
favor.
Shown to have wrongly being testified, because I was part of that panel, and their testimony was proven not to be accurate, that the president was not tying aid to Ukraine to two
that
in
was
the investigation.
the premise of the impeachment. But your point is that looms large in the president's memory and interaction with the National Security Council now.
The president needs to make certain that he has staff that are supportive of him and the National Security Council and his policies, and make certain that they're providing him information. This is the heart of what does the president know that our adversaries are doing.
Right.
When he's dealing with Russia and and policies with respect to Ukraine, he needs to know what Vladimir Putin's doing, and that's coming directly from the National Security Council.
Noted.